Subversiveness in Nigeria. Subversiveness, intent to subvert, especially intended to overthrow or undermine established government's authority. Methodology. My research questions was which factors promote subversiveness in Nigeria. Could it be living conditions, perception of corruption, ethnic unrest? The data I used for my methodology was Afrobarometer 2005 and 2006. Tests used: reliability analysis, chi-square, cross-tabulations, and TALB. My hypothesis is that people in Nigerian society who experience bad living conditions are more likely to behave subversively. I constructed an index for Y, when Y indicates subversive behavior, to better illustrate this. My index involved 3 questions. Question 1, the courts have the right to make decisions that people have to abide by. Question 2, the police always have the right to make people obey the law. Question 3, the tax department always has the right to make people pay taxes. The alpha score for this index was 0.8028, which indicates that these questions were definitely measuring the same thing. My hypothesis was inspired by a journal article by Daniel Gordon Smith called Kinship and Corruption in Contemporary Nigeria, in which corruption or subversiveness is produced by ordinary people out of necessity. My first independent variable was indicated by the question, how would you describe your own present living conditions? Hypothesis: respondents who experience poor living conditions are more likely to be subversive than those who experience good living conditions. Here is the graph, ranging from fairly bad living conditions, very good conditions, against very subversive and fully obedient. The crosstab yields the opposite by contention. It seems that most people are fully obedient regardless of living conditions. Nigerians in very bad or fairly bad living conditions are most likely to be obedient than subversive. And despite a significant relationship, being statistically significant, the cross-tabulation yielded a weak relationship. Possible reasons could be that people in better living conditions can afford the luxury of being subversive. I decided to use another independent variable, this time by perception of corruption by either the president and his cabinet, as indicated by the question, how many of the president and his cabinet do you think is involved in corruption? The results again perceive no distinct or clear relationship. The chi-square value indicates a high significance, but the tau b value indicates a very weak negative relationship. Possible issues could involve a lack of variance in subversiveness. Also, a lack of relationship may be indicated by the 2 categories that people tend to be in when they perceive corruption. 1, hypocrites who re-perpetuate corruption and subversiveness. 2, non-hypocrites who want to fix corruption and are non-subversive. Third independent variable I decided to cross-tabulate with my index was the perception of unfair treatment of the respondents' perception of the Nigerian government's unfair treatment of their ethnic group. Again, no statistical significance. Tau b shows a very weak positive relationship. Overall, there hasn't been any strong relationships To move forward, we could consider that maybe analyzing subversiveness in itself and maybe seeing whether certain ethnic groups are more related to subversiveness than others. Also, maybe we could consider fixing the index to involve boycotting and protesting, which are other forms of subversive activity.